Yo! It's good, y'all. It's Roger, man. So they were back at getting another video. This is going to be DJ in this bed giving a little review for the WWE fans out there, man. You know, Clash in Italy did just happen, and I think it went on from like 1 o'clock to like 3:40 something. So I think it was about overall a 2 hour and 40-minute PLE, which is crazy. I think that's what they've been doing as of late. Y'all know usually, sorry, trying to burp. These usually go about 3 hours or more, or used to during the Peacock days. But it seems like with ESPN, they're either trying to get at 3 hours or right below 3 hours. So that's kind of crazy when you think about the fact that SmackDown is going longer than these PLEs. But nonetheless, anyway, let's get on to the goddamn thing. Now, I was watching this crazy enough. First half of this, or most of this, I was watching, like, you know, because we had to go places, so I was like watching this in the car, where, you know, not with my family. I was with my family watching it, but I wasn't watching it with my family. But yeah, I was in the car and you know, sitting down, eating, whatever the case may be. So I was watching most of this at that time, and then the last two matches, or really the last match, I was at a different type of what's it called? Different church service for that day. So the last match, I got to see it, but it was kind of during when we was kind of in this little church thing that was going on. But nonetheless, just wanted to say I got to see all of it, but I was watching it in different types of settings. So just to let it be known that I cannot really call it beat for beat of what happened in the matches because of how sporadically I was watching it. So I'll just call like whatever I remember, you know, a thing or two I might have remembered from the match. But nonetheless, let's get into it. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. So for those who don't know, Cody Rhodes and Gunther probably would be the two biggest, right, in their respective fields as far as, or situations as far as, Cody is probably the biggest babyface. Gunther is probably the biggest heel in the company. And so obviously they went at it. And the only thing I remember from this match is I know there was a lot of sleeper attempts from Gunther. He did his thing as far as, you know, what we know him for, which is the chops and the clotheslines and the boots and everything. He did that. Cody did his thing. He had a couple of Cody cutters on Gunther. I think Gunther even kicked out of a crossroads at one point. And then the match ended. Like I said, I can't even go for beat because I was watching all over the place. The match was going pretty well. I thought it was really fun, but the way they were moving at such a fast pace, I was like, why do I feel like this is one of these matches that's going to feel really short? Because they're going at such a fast pace that I'm like, you know, they didn't really go slow like they did in the next match. So I kind of was getting the vibe that we might have an abrupt ending here. And it kind of actually is exactly what happened, because Cody had hit a crossroads on the Gunther, and he hit him with the 1, the 2, and the 3, but Gunther's foot was underneath the rope, which also qualifies as a rope break, as if it is if the guy like has his foot on the rope. They both qualify as a rope break where the referee has to stop the count, because now it's not an illegal, or it's an illegal pinfall at that point. But nonetheless, match ended that way. The crowd went kind of like, oh, like they kind of was like, oh, I don't know if we like that. And Italy was a great crowd. I forgot which part of Italy they were at. Might have to look it up here because I forgot which part of Italy they were in, like what city of Italy, what the city of Italy, Italy. Does it say? Damn. Turin. I think it was Turin. Italy. You know what I mean? And so yeah. So back to what I was saying. Nonetheless, I had to get that right. God damn, I scratched my face on a pimple. Ow. Y'all know how that is when you scratch your face and you mistakenly hit a pimple. Anyway, yeah, that kind of hurt. Nonetheless, Shibuya. The match went 11 minutes and 35 seconds, which is definitely fast for a world title match. You know, we almost getting back in what happened at WrestleMania this year territory with short matches. But nonetheless, they did their thing. Even though it was very short, they did their thing. The finish was obviously controversial because of just the one, abrupt ending, and two, a lot of people may feel like that's not really enough steam for another match, like foot on the rope or whatever, and that's how Gunther loses. And, you know, we know the whole thing of Gunther's been going on this streak of retiring. AJ Styles, John Cena beat Seth at Mania. Like, he's been getting all these big wins. So for him to just get a loss like this, even though, yes, it is the Cody, the biggest babyface, and probably should be the hardest guy to beat in the company, which is funny because the whole thing is easy to find, hard to beat. So kind of fits, you know what I mean? So it's not that, I mean, he took a loss to a credible guy, but the only thing about it is the fact that Gunther has kind of still not been able, when you think about it, to figure out Cody, because they actually had a title versus title match at Crown Jewel. I think it was 2024, and he didn't beat him there. I think he lost by like a roll up or something like that. Like, I think Cody rolled through with his sleeper and pinned him. And so I don't know. I think a lot of people can rightfully say, like, yeah, it kind of, I guess you could say, stunts the momentum of Gunther, because, you know, he's been going on this streak of retiring people, and you know, he beat Seth at Mania, and these are all like big, even though he didn't retire Seth, it's still a big win for him at WrestleMania. So like, to go from that to then he just Shibuya loses to Cody, rather than it be like, you know, some type of, I personally, in my opinion, feel like if they would have done like a double count out type of finish where like they were beating the hell out of each other and the crowd was loving it, like maybe do something like that, and then it gets like the double count out type of thing, because that way, one, you can get another match, and two, you could probably actually have Gunther win a follow-up match at like a Night of Champions, which is coming up in my birthday month. Woohoo! June 12th is my birthday, for those who don't know. And I'm gonna be turning 21, so we're gonna go crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully not. Nonetheless, I think the finish could have been better, because one, it was abrupt, and two, I could see somebody being like, maybe the foot under the rope is kind of not enough of a gripe to get another title match. That just kind of doesn't seem like the most thrilling type of finish to be like, hey, I deserve another match. And usually those are also, I mean, granted, yes, you can have the heel have a gripe, but I feel like that's usually a babyface thing, though, like where their foot is on the rope and they shouldn't have lost. I don't know. I kind of feel like that's more of a babyface thing. I mean, you can do it for heels, but I just always felt like that was kind of more of a babyface thing to do, because that way they can get a rematch with the heel champion. But nonetheless, like I said, I think it should have been a double count out type of situation, but like, it's an exciting brawl that even goes way past the bell. That way their rematch could be like I don't know about, they don't really do a whole lot of no count out matches. So because I don't want it to just escalate to like no DQ, but they could have maybe do something where like, I mean, look, they would never do this, but how cool would it be if their second match was like a 30-minute Iron Man match, where like, now if you get a DQ or a count out, it would cost you, like, you know what I mean, because it costs you a pinfall. They would never do that, but that would have been fun. Who doesn't want to see Cody Rhodes and Gunther for 30 minutes? Two great in-ring guys for 30 minutes. And like I said, and the reason why you make an Iron Man match is because now if these guys decide to do a DQ or like they have a count out, now it's costing them. It's not a typical, oh, the match is over. Nah, it's like, okay, it's going to cost you to have a count out, because now that's a pinfall that you've just lost. So they could have done something fun like that. That would have been personally more fun. Not to say they had to do it that way, but what I came up with just off the fly, by the way, I think that would have been a lot more fun than just like foot under the rope. And also the foot under the rope to me is not a good enough visual. Like if his foot was on the rope, I think that's a better visual, because to the average eye who doesn't really know that rule, it's just like he just pinned him and people are just, you know, complaining for no reason. But nonetheless, it was a fun match. I'll probably give it like a 7 out of 10. I think it could have got a 7.5 or 8 if the ending was better. And if it maybe went 4 or 5 minutes longer, I think we could have got a higher rating here. But nonetheless, it was not a bad way to start the show. But I think the crowd kind of did get soured with that ending. I think even they were kind of like, no matter who would have won, I think they just would have preferred a better ending than that. But nonetheless, not a bad way to start up the show. They had a lot of, they did some fun stuff in the beginning of it. Just the ending, for a lot of people like myself included, kind of felt, we could have done something better here. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, we get on to the next match. Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. This match went 16 minutes and 57 seconds. So almost a 17-minute match. And they have pretty good chemistry in the ring. Like, there was a couple of things that wasn't a botch, but it just kind of looked a little rough from a standpoint of like when they would try to get into certain things, they were kind of doing it a little bit in slow motion. From my eye, I kind of felt that vibe. It didn't feel as like quick and smooth. It felt more like we're trying to get this thing on to, you know, whatever thing we're trying to do next. We're kind of taking a little minute to get there. But other than that, some good stuff. There was a point in time, I'm just going throughout the match here now. There was a point in time where Rhea had her in, like, y'all know, like the chicken fight position where like somebody sitting on top of your shoulders. She had Rhea up there. Rhea had Jade up on top of her shoulders. Did the thing where they kind of fall over the top rope, but she still has her in her grasp like that, even after, like, I think it was her neck or her lower back or something really hit the apron when they went over the rope like that, and she still kept a hold of her. So that was really impressive. And then she did the thing where she like pushes her off over the top of her head and drops her onto the apron. That was really cool. There was also one where Jade like threw Rhea into the rope, and then as she comes out, like they're on the floor, and Jade throws Rhea into the ropes, like where the ropes are, and as she bounced off the rope, she hit her with a knee as she was coming down after she bounced her off the rope. So Jade hit her Rhea with that, so that was really cool. And then they really told the story well of, I felt, Jade dominating Rhea, which is not something we see often, because usually Rhea, more times than not, is the bigger opponent, or at least is more muscular, or whatever the case may be. So that was really interesting to see that. Obviously, Jade is a heel, so she should be kind of taking control of this match and dominating. That's how you get the heat, you know what I mean? So yeah, she was, getting cocky in this match, and then obviously they did the thing where, like, Jade, gets thrown into like the ring post or whatever it is, to wait for Rhea to get back on offense, and Rhea would hit like a kick and some of her own signature stuff, like the little shining wizard and all that, and drop kick off the top rope, all types of her signature stuff. But it ended with B-Fab coming out there, and she messed up with the pinfall break. So I think Rhea, I think she hit was it a riptide, or she hit some move on Jade Cargill? It might have been a riptide. And B-Fab was supposed to take Jade's foot and put it on the rope, but I think Jade's foot was kind of far, and B-Fab didn't act fast enough to grab her foot. So the referee kind of, like, as he's counting the 1 to 2, he almost kind of paused the 3, and Jade had to put her own foot on the rope, because I think she might have been too far, because I don't think it was just difficult for B-Fab to grab her foot. I think she just might have been a little too far. And yeah, that happened. And it's funny because then what happened after that was Charlotte delivered a double cross body on the both me, Chin, and B-Fab. And then she did it the right way, which was as Jade hit her, Jaded on the Rhea Ripley. I think she hit that move. Charlotte came in there and did it the right way, right? Put Rhea's foot on the rope, which, the whole thing is, hey, it's fair play. You did it first as far as you're, using your teammates to put your foot on the rope. So that happened. There was a lot of good counters in this match too. Rhea Ripley was going for a riptide, or I think Jade was going for a move. Rhea got in between. Sounds crazy. Got in between the legs. It's like slipped out from in between the legs. Went for the riptide just to get countered to a DDT. So there was some nice counters in this match. I think Jade also hit a Blue Thunder Bomb at one point in time. Just trying to think of different things I remember. And yeah, the match. But skipping the end, match ended with, I think Rhea had hit the riptide for the 1, 2, 3. I think after, like, Charlotte, put her foot on the rope and all that, I think it ended with just Rhea hitting the riptide 1, 2, 3 for the win in the pin. And I don't know what this could lead to as far as, like, sure, they could do Rhea and Charlotte. They could also do Rhea, Charlotte, and Jade, because now they've made it to where they all, like, have an issue, kind of. Jade and Charlotte, Jade and Charlotte, they've actually had a post clip of after the show was over of them Jade attacking her. So there's a little thing there. You never know. But I don't know when they're gonna do that singles match. Like Jade and Charlotte, that's been one they've been teasing for a while. So I don't really know when they're gonna do that match. But I think as I'm bringing it up here, they do have the tournament brackets out now, and I think Jade and Charlotte are in the same match. I think it's a fatal 4-way, if I'm not mistaken, between Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Sol Ruka, and Lyra Valkyria. So they're in a fatal 4-way together. So, hey, man, they're going to be getting some of their beef hashed out over there. But nonetheless, pretty good match. I'll probably give a 7.5, close to 8. Yeah, 7.5, 8 out of 10 for this match. They, like I said, pretty much worked pretty well together, and they were given proper time to really build the matchup. So I thought it was pretty good. 7.5, 8 for me. Nonetheless, what was the next match? Oh yeah, I got it. Oh lordy, next match was by this point I forgot to say this. I was 2-0 in predictions. I do my predictions before the show, so I was 2-0 in predictions by this point. I did predict Cody would retain, and I did predict Rhea would retain. So the next match was Brock Lesnar versus Femi 2. Sorry, burping. The rematch to be exact. So boom, Brock Lesnar goes in and he does his entrance obviously, and the crowd was actually I think it's Turin or Turin, Italy. I think it is. I've never seen this before. They were singing Brock Lesnar's theme song. Like, you know how like they can kind of do the notes to the theme song, even though it doesn't have words, like, but they can hum it. Like, they were doing so Brock Lesnar's theme is like dun 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 dun, and the crowd was literally going da 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 da. I'm like, what in the world? Bro, I've never seen that before. Hey, when they was doing the I was over there thinking of Adam Rose. Wow. If y'all remember that. But no, I've never seen that before. The crowd was literally finding a way to sing Brock's theme song. That just lets you know the WWE crowds are just here for the stars. Like, they're not even booing the heels anymore, unless you're like Logan Paul. They're not even booing the heels anymore, bro. They're just there to have fun, bro. I mean, hell, they paying so much money. I guess fair enough. We just paying to see the names at this point. You know what I mean? We don't even really hate nobody for real. But nonetheless, that was crazy. Just never seen that before. But yeah, the crowd was rocking. They were doing great this whole night, for the most part, making a lot of great noise. And obviously, Femi comes out. They very loudly was doing his whole thing, the who and the but they were doing the whole thing loudly. Even after the ring announcements, they were still, or after he had made his entrance and he was done with his entrance, doing the this and the pose and the silhouette. Even after that, they were still doing the Oba chants, like even after his music cut off. But obviously, Paul Heyman goes out there and announces as Brock Lesnar. And then they announce over Femi. Match jump starts with Lesnar hitting a forearm to the back of Oba Femi, attacking him from behind before the bell rings. Hits not one, not two, not three, but 4 F5s to Oba Femi, and he kicked out at 2. And I'm like, bro, this is crazy. Because, I think Cena did... He actually did this with John Cena as far as hitting like a bunch of F5s to start the match. And the difference was, I think he had like 3 on, this was at WrestlePalooza. He had hit like 3 of them on Cena, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he just said, you know what, I'm going to skip to the part where I just hit you with my big finisher. And so he did that, and like I said, kicked out. And Brock was doing great selling the facial expressions of like just the overall shock of Oba not being able to know, like, go out there, no bitch, go out there, no hoe. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So then he locked in the Kimura, because even Paul Heyman on the outside was like, Kimura, like locking the Kimura. So he's got the double wrist lock, the Kimura lock and all that, trying to break the arm off. And Oba Femi was able to stand up and, plant him down in the middle of the ring. And then I think as far as anything that Oba really hit as far as offense, I think the only thing he did was like a choke slam at one point. He did his little thing where he does like the running uppercut in the corner. I think he did that once or twice to Brock Lesnar. And it's funny because with the chokeslam, Brock had like jumped up a little early, so it looked a little awkward. It wasn't like a botch, but it just looked a little, it didn't look like a botch. It just like you could tell he jumped like too early before Oba really picked him up. So that was nice. Then there was a point where Brock, I think, delivered a 5th F5, and that didn't put Oba Femi away either. Then he delivered, I think they went out to the outside, because I think Oba clotheslined Brock Lesnar to the outside, but like they both went over the top rope. And then Brock, I think Oba shoved Brock into the post. Brock then shoved Oba into the post. Brock then hit a F5 on the Oba through the table, so this is the 6th F5. And then at the count of like 4 or 5, Oba was already up from going through the table from the F5. And Brock is like in the corner, like, bro, what the you know what I mean? And then I think that's when Oba hit the uppercuts in the corner. Then he hit the thing where like he'll pick you up, like as an ability back suplex type of way, where the guy's arm is over the neck and he like picks you up, and then does like the pick you up and like toss, like as he's turning you, tossing you to the middle of the ring. He did that on the Brock, and I'm like, yo, that was crazy, because that's a hard move to do, especially with a guy like Brock's size. So Oba Femi was powered up here, and he was about to go for his fall from grace powerbomb, but as he went to push him up, they kind of sold it as if Oba might not have been able to get him because of the damage that was done to the arm during the Kimura lock, because he held it on there for a while. So Brock jumps out from that position, to like, behind Obafemi and stuff like that, and that led to Brock hitting not 6, but now the 7th F5 for the 1, 2, 3. Now, Brock Lesnar beat Obafemi. They are now 1-1. Brock lost to Oba at WrestleMania. Brock has now beaten Oba at Clash in Italy. And this is also Obafemi's first loss. If you're not counting the Royal Rumble, this is the first time he's gotten pinned before. So, this is met with mixed emotions, right? Like, on one hand, of course, if it was my preference, Obafemi, would have won. And they maybe do a thing where he's like 3-0 against Brock to really solidify the fact that he's like the new beast of this era and that Brock is days as that has like gone by. But I'm actually not against them doing it this way. I know the whole thing with the confusion of he had a retirement and then they pump faked us out because they really wanted Brock to at least make it towards SummerSlam, and they, convinced them obviously to go to SummerSlam. So that was a little confusing, but other than that, I actually don't even mind him winning, only because of two things. One, logically, it kind of wouldn't have made sense to do a third match, because think about it. If Obafemi beats Brock twice, Brock kind of doesn't have a reason to want a third match with him, because it's like, my first reason I wanted a rematch with you was because I couldn't beat you, and then I couldn't beat you, so now I'm going to go against you again to say that I can beat you again. Like, it just would have been weird. Like, okay, the rematch makes sense. Like, okay, I couldn't beat you the first time. But then if I beat you a second time straight, it's like, how do you, if you're in Brock's position where you're supposed to be this beast, how do you logically, with that type of persona, get a third match out of somebody that you've lost to twice? It just would have been kind of hard to logically make that make any sense of as the how he would get another rematch. Like, what has he done to earn another match with Obafemi? You know what I mean? Like that. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like logically it would have been harder to make that make sense. Not that people still wouldn't want to see it, but it's a little, in my opinion at least, it's easier to do it with Oba just losing to Brock, only because now you can do the whole thing of like, okay, it makes sense now for the fans to want a third match. Because think about it, if he beats Brock twice, why would you want to see a third match? If he's already beaten this guy 2 times, you would have no reason to want to see Oba beat Brock a third time. You know what I mean? So wanting to see him beat Brock twice is one thing, but I don't think people really want to see, well, people want to see Oba beat him 3 times, but I'm saying if you're trying to sell it as the I have to see this, then you would have to have Brock beat Oba. That way it's more like, nah, he has to get his get back. Like, I'm not saying, like, people would have been satisfied if Oba just would have beat him twice and that's over with. Everybody would have been satisfied with that. But because Brock won, now it's like, oh, I'm not satisfied. I got to see Oba get his get back. So it makes it more, like I said, logically, it makes it more like, it makes you want to see the match because your guy didn't win. So you got to see him get his revenge. It's a more easier logical way to set it up. But nonetheless, I don't know if they're going to do a thing where, like, maybe Brock cost him. They probably will do a thing where Brock may cost him the King of the Ring and play it off as, like, you're basically not going to succeed in this company as long as I'm here type of thing. Because that's how much he dislikes Obafemi. I could maybe see that being the case because I don't know. Because, the guy who wins the King of the Ring would have to go on to wrestle the world champion at SummerSlam. And we know they're going to probably do Oba Brock at SummerSlam. So unless Brock were to, like, win a world title or something, which I don't know if they do that, going into SummerSlam, that's the only way you would get an Oba Brock match. And it'll probably be like some type of no DQ match, last man standing, false count anywhere, something like that. Nonetheless, fun match, really fun match. I think it went just over 6 minutes. It was 6 minutes and 21 seconds. So really fun match. I actually thought it was better than the WrestleMania match because the WrestleMania match we knew was going to be short, but it was like real short. You know what I mean? And this is more of the pace I kind of thought. Or at least time-wise, this is kind of more of what I expected, and I think that's perfect for these guys, like, to do the whole power move for power move type of match where there's, like, not really a lot of wrestling. It's just a lot of power move for power move type thing, and I actually like the way they did it here with these guys in particular for sure. So, nonetheless, let's move on and get along. And like I said, I give that match probably an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed that. Probably 8, 8.5. I really enjoyed what they did here. It kind of felt like in a good way, it felt like it was a 10-minute match. It felt like they did a lot, so that's why it felt like 10 minutes. It didn't feel like 6. You know what I mean? It felt like they got a lot in, but they actually didn't have as much time as I thought. But because they got so much in, it made me think it was longer. But nonetheless, next match was Sol Ruka. I was 3-0 in predictions. I did predict Obu would lose. Number 4. Sol Ruka versus Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. So this match went 14 minutes and 2 seconds. So I'm glad they actually gave them time to cook up. Obviously, they had the thing where they set it up from Saturday's main event that, hey, Sol, technically beat the champion, even though it was by DQ. So yeah, they did their thing here. There was some nice little counters. I think one of the first things I think of that happened in the match was Sol Ruka went for her springboard kind of 450 clothesline where she does like a front flip and then she clotheslines you as she lands on her feet. And that got countered to the manhandle slam. Becky Lynch went for Sol Ruka's soul snatcher, the little, kind of front flipping out of the turnbuckle into the cutter. Didn't get that because Sol stopped it some type of way. I think Sol even hit like a drop kick out of the corner, like, springboard type of drop kick out of the corner. She did her thing where she does the cartwheel backflip over the top rope, but she didn't really clear the distance good. So when she went to do the moonsault out to the floor in that way, Becky kind of had to sell it weird because I think her foot might have got caught in the rope a little bit. But nonetheless, I think she hit a manhandle slam on the Sol. I think that got a 2 count. I know she did one where she jumped off, or I think she did a move where she jumped off the top rope and got a leg drop on the Sol. Or do I remember anything else from this match before I call it a finish? I think that was it as far as things I remember. It then ended with Sol Ruka hitting her soul snatcher, and that was it for the 1, 2, 3. Jessica Carr as the referee was kind of crazy because Becky has been having an issue with that particular referee. So the fact that they keep putting her in this match is like Becky need to be calling up the higher ups after this. But she's in the Queen of the Ring tournament, and we'll kind of go over that, who's in that at the end. But nonetheless, Shabuya match was fun, nice. I had fun. It was pretty good, nothing crazy, but it was pretty good. I probably get that a 7. I think average it was about 7 out of 10 on this show. So 7 out of 10 match. They did their thing. Connected pretty well together as far as like chemistry and all that. So yeah, pretty good. Nothing too crazy to go home about other than the fact that Sol, yes, is the new Intercontinental Women's Champion. I did predict that, and somebody said it. First black woman to win the Intercontinental Women's Championship. Because look, Sol is a sister. I know she don't necessarily look like it, but it's there. It's in there. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, nice little match there. Nothing too much to say more about that. They did their thing pretty good. Nonetheless, we get to the main event of the evening, and it was Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief status, versus Jacob Fatu for the World Heavyweight Championship. Tribal Combat. So this is another way of just saying street fight, no disqualification, no holds barred. It's all the same shit. Nonetheless, only thing I remember for this match is I remember Roman had countered a pop-up Samoa drop? He countered some move where he hit the Superman punch, and then there was a point where he was hitting a bunch of Superman punches on the Jacob, and Jacob was wobbling a couple times, but then there was a point where he just started doing like, his little chicken dance, you know what I mean? Where he starts doing the freaking chicken dance like, hey, this is not hurting me. You know what I mean? He did that later in the match. Roman delivered a bunch of clothesline in the corner. They fought on the outside at one point in the crowd and the fans and everything, bouncing each other's head on the railing and stuff like that and throwing punches at each other. Roman speared Jacob through the barricade. It's funny how the security guards, could be some future WWE superstars right there, they fell as well with that whole barricade round. It's like a round like barricade piece. It's kind of crazy. A round barricade piece fell off. Like I said, I think the pop-up Samoan drop was counted at one point with a punch. Jacob hit I think he hit a pop-up Samoan drop on Roman eventually. Then there was a point where Roman went to do the taunt that he does before he delivers the spear, right? He does the ooh-ah, but as he's doing the ooh-ah, Jacob just ran right into him in the turn, but he didn't even let him finish doing his iconic taunt that he does before he hits the spear. And so he squashed him into the corner, brought him down, and then did the running hip first into Roman Reigns, as they say, the ass in the face. What do they even call that move? I forgot. Where they, run into the corner and hit the guy with they butt right into right across their face. I forgot what they call that. But nonetheless, What else do I remember from this match? I don't think there's anything else I remember. I don't know if Jacob hit the moonsault. I think he might have. I think he might have hit the moonsault because there was some type of way where the referee was counting the 1, 2, 3, and Roman did his iconic where as he kicks out before the 3 count, he throws his arm over to get the shoulder up, but it also works as a way to getting a low blow on your opponent, and that is what happened for Jacob. And I think there was a point in time Roman hit Jacob's head on both exposed ring posts because he was like basically saying, ain't no Usos out here. You think I need them to beat you? I can do this by myself. So he was like, yeah, you want to talk about ring post and all that type of stuff. So I could, like I said, beat you by myself. So he bounces Jacob's head into the exposed ring post because there was 2 times where the ring, or on both ring posts, there's 4 of them, but 2 of them had the ring post exposed, and he bounced Jacob's head off of both of those. And I think the match just ended. I think Jacob kicked out of a spear at one point. I think the match just ended with Roman hitting the, double rope spear where he picks up the momentum, hits a spear on the Jacob for the 1, 2. I think he might have done a spear through the table or some move happened through the table, I know, in the corner. And then, spear for the 1, 2, 3. And that was it, man. Roman Reigns, then it ended with Roman basically telling Jacob, like, hey, bro, you said you was going to have to acknowledge me or whatever. So, like, come on. Like, he like telling Jacob, hey, you going with us now? Because the whole thing was whoever wins this, they got to be acknowledged as the tribal chief and have to fall in line. So you got to fall in line now. You know what I mean? So they getting Jacob, and Jacob obviously relentlessly is like, God done it. And he's following them as he like reluctantly and stuff like that. And I think the Usos had put the tribal lay, the Ulafalo, or as LA now calls it, the Ufalafa, on the Roman Reigns' neck. After the match was over, and Solo was in the front row, and I think he said, like, I got next or something like that. I don't know if that means they're going to do a match with him, which I hope not. Solo has just not really been in a type of situation where anyone's really clamoring for them to be in a main event, but, the Nepo. Nonetheless, they walked out of the arena, and that's how the show went off there, with Jacob reluctantly having to go with Roman and the Usos to the back because, he's a part of their team now. And Roman, I think, after the show went off there, was calling out people like LA Knight and Royce Keys, guys who were kind of talking a little trash about wanting to get in the world title shot, and LA Knight directly pointing out Roman. So basically telling everybody, hey, you better come on with it if you want it. You want to talk about my family, basically get this work. So there was also a stare-off between Roman and Cody backstage. We know they still haven't done that third match, and they're both world champions, so I don't know if maybe that's what they're setting up for at Crown Jewel, which is kind of a wild place to do the third match. But out of the 2 that happened at Mania, but I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with that. But the last thing I want to say, other than the fact that, like I said, another 7 out of 10 match. It went how long? Sorry. It went... Really? 27 minutes? Damn. Well, I guess it's fair. 27 minutes and 12 seconds. So almost 30 minutes. They did a lot. I know people didn't really think they did a whole lot in the ring as far as like maybe could have had more crazy spots. But with the way Roman does his thing, I think that match would have had to have some type of crazy drama to really get up there as an 8 or 9 out of 10 match. Even though the crowd, they were the most hyped for Oba and Brock, but they were still doing good reactions for the entire show and all that. So that was really cool. But yeah, 7 out of 10 match, it was kind of just felt like a standard kind of everything goes match. It didn't feel like anything really outside the box. Some could say it was a little anticlimactic just as far as Jacob winning would have been something different and interesting. Just to kind of make the card feel a little more different and special of an ending rather than just the status quo of, Cody retains, Roman retains, I get it. But like, it was standard kind of everything goes type of match. It wasn't anything that really went crazy because Jacob, we know, can do some crazy spots, but Roman is not really the type of guy that's going to do a whole lot of crazy stuff like that. So I didn't expect it to be anything more than kind of a standard match. But nonetheless, last thing I'm going to say, and I'm out. Woo! Show overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it was an average about a 7. So a solid to average show, kind of status quo, what you expect. But last thing I'm going to say, and who in is King and Queen of the Ring tournament. So the first round, I don't know why they always start with Fatal 4-Ways, but I guess it's to get the most amount of people in there, but it doesn't make any sense because it's like you're literally going to eliminate like 9 people out of the first round. But nonetheless, Liv Morgan, the world champion, for whatever reason is in it. That goes to show you they really don't have nothing for her because why is she in the tournament when they trying to fight to get you, the world champion? But whatever. Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss versus Chelsea Green. Sol Ruka versus Lyra Valkyria versus Charlotte Flair versus Jade Cargill. Roxanne Perez versus Io Sky versus Julia versus Lash Legend. Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Jacy Jayne versus Kiana James. And then for the guys side of things, it's going to be Penta versus Femi versus Solo Sikoa versus Carmelo Hayes. I don't know how that's going to go. Dominic Mysterio versus Braun Breaker versus Trick Williams, all the young talent right there, versus Damian Priest. Seth Rollins versus Javon Evans, that just would have been great on its own, but versus Tala Tonga versus Ricky Saints. And then Jey Uso versus LA Knight versus Royce Keys versus Finn Balor. That is the first round of each one. I don't really know who's going to win each opening round. I mean, this is not a real prediction, but for the ladies, I could see, especially after Becky Lynch, shout out to her, give her credit. She did as much for the Intercontinental Women's Championship as possible, and I like her work as a heel. I wasn't always the biggest fan of the man character thing. It just kind of felt a little too try hard of trying to be a badass, but I get it. It worked for the time where she was being rebellious, and it kind of gave the Stone Cold vibes a little bit, and then the Ronda Rousey thing with her being the best woman to play. So I get it, but nonetheless, like her better as a heel, and I think that it is time to put her back in the main event. I just feel like she's just done a lot for the Intercontinental Women's Championship, and she services probably right about now is needed in the main event, especially with Liv having nobody, even though those are technically two heels. But as far as the first round, I can see Becky winning that. The next round, a Soul doesn't have to get pinned, so I can maybe see a Charlotte winning that. Maybe to set up Charlotte Rhea. I don't know at the very end of it. I don't know. The Roxanne, probably Io will win that. I mean, I can see Bayley winning, but maybe if they still care about Raquel, she might win that match. Then the next round for the Penta Oba Solo, I'll probably go Oba. Dominic Braun Breaker, I would think, will win. They probably won't pin Trick Williams. Seth and Javon, Seth. Jay, LA Knight. They'll probably at least have LA Knight pass the first round. But nonetheless, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. I had to do a little quick rundown, and I was kind of going all over the place with certain matches, so that's why it took a little minute. But nonetheless, like, comment, subscribe before you go. And we're gonna say it is what it is. What's gonna be a certified, legitimized, legalized product? Continue to come out with the content, videos, the bangers, time and time again for you guys. Do my thing and do it well to the best of my ability. See you on the next one. That's all you need to know, and that's the vibe that DJ's on.